Hello everyone, today I've compiled a list of things that new players should avoid in GTA Online. These range from businesses to cars to guns, and I'll get into it further in the video, so let's get into it. The first thing new players should absolutely avoid is the document forgery lab as part of the MC businesses. This is by far the worst business probably in the game. It is just so terrible. The amount of money you get from it is awful. The upgrades that you put into the business will probably cost around $1.5 million, $1.2 million with the security upgrades and equipment upgrades. And I'm telling you right now, if you were to buy those, you are not making that money back anytime soon. Every other business in the game is better than this. Even the acid lab, which I kind of recognize as a pretty bad business, that is worse than this because this business is just purely awful. As you can tell by looking here, I've only done one sale ever, and I've only earned $54,000 from that one sale. I did this sale when the update first came out. This was the first business I bought because I didn't have a ton of money back then, and this was the only sale I ever did because that's just nothing. Even by like old GTA Online standards, 54,000 is just nothing. And that is without upgrades, but like I just said, if you buy upgrades, you're not recouping that money back anytime soon at all. So please, if you are a new player, go for any other MC business. The cocaine lockup is good, the meth business is good. Some people like weed, I think it's a little bit too, but you can get it. Honestly, all other MC businesses besides this one is awful. Unfortunately, another thing that new players should avoid in GTA Online is the Oppressor Mark II because Rockstar increased the price of it a while ago to $8 million. It's actually $6 million here because I had the trade price, but new players will be paying $8 million. That is a Megalodon shark card for $80. It's just not worth it anymore. Unfortunately, Rockstar nerfed it in a way to make it so the people who need it the most cannot get it because it's too expensive. The only people who benefited from the Mark II were new players because, you know, it's a good grinding tool. It goes around the map fast, it has missiles, it's kind of hard to kill if you know what you're doing. And that's why new players used it a lot, because it was efficient, it was effective, and it was relatively cheap. I think it was around 3.2 million without the trade price back then, which was attainable, but now it is just way out of reach for the players that need it the most. And it sucks because Rockstar did this to nerf the Oppressor, but they really only nerfed it for a certain crowd of people. The type of people who do duplication glitches and don't actually grind for money legitimately are not affected by this because they have a lot of money to begin with, and they're not going to lose a little bit over the Oppressor because they'll just buy it regardless. They have a lot of money. But new players do not, and these people cannot get the Oppressor no more. And it's honestly really sad because I think new players should have an Oppressor Mark II. It's a good tool, it's a good asset, but at the current price of $8 million, it's just way too expensive. If you want later down the line, you can get it, but at the start of being a new player, you really should avoid the Oppressor Mark II. Next up may seem obvious to some, but I've seen new players bite it. It is the Yacht. New players should absolutely avoid the Yacht. You cannot make any money with the Yacht whatsoever. It does come with story missions that you can host as a leader. You could join it if you don't have the Yacht, but you would have to be a crew member and not the leader of the mission. And you do unlock a VIP work called piracy prevention, I believe, where you defend the Yacht for 10 minutes for $30,000. They really need to buff that. And the Yacht is just not good. You make no money whatsoever. I mean, it's cool to see, it's cool to look at, whatever, and be like, oh, I have a Yacht. I remember when it first came out, you were a big baller if you had a Yacht. Every server only had like 2 or 3 because they were really expensive. And they're still really expensive, but not really for people, once again, who do glitches or whatever or have established businesses. But for new players, this is way too expensive for you. You will make no money out of this whatsoever. It may be cool to be like, it's kind of the philosophy of having a Louis Vuitton bag, right? When you see someone in public, you're like, oh yeah, look at that Louis Vuitton bag, it's real nice. But then they tell you, oh, I bought this, but I have no money. Like, what's the point of having a nice bag with no money in it? You know what I mean? I'd rather have the opposite, but I guess it's just personal preference. In this case, it is not personal preference. You should not buy the Yacht whatsoever because it's just bad for new players. If you want to be a big baller later down the line, go ahead because you'll probably have the money for it anyways. But while you're starting a GTA Online, there are many different options you can go down to spend this amount of money and make that back. Next up is the Acid Lab. You may be inclined to buy the Acid Lab because you're like, oh, it's a new business. I see it pretty often, so it must be pretty good. But no, honestly, I do not know why I see this business so often because for what it pays and what you have to do, it's awful. I discussed this in my previous video, or maybe the video before. I'm not sure when this video comes out, but basically the acid lab overhead is way too much. You have to buy supplies. Do not do resupplies for the acid lab because the missions take way too long and they only give you like a quarter anyways. So then you would think it'd be more effective to buy supplies, but no, because you could spend that time doing any other mission and you would make more money per minute than you would buy supplies for this business. You would probably have to buy supplies twice to get a full stock of this, and if you sell that in a public lobby with a lot of people in it, you'd probably only get around $500,000 with no bonuses, and that is just awful. Not to mention, to technically be the most efficient at using the acid lab, you would need to buy the equipment upgrade, and it's the same issue as the document forgery lab. It'll take way too long to recuperate that cost initially. And the only good thing that the acid lab has going for it is the cell missions. These cell missions are very good. It gives you a pretty fast bike and they are usually pretty quick. But other than that, this business is awful. You should avoid it. Seriously, new players should not do this business at all. I see this next one way too often. I see tons of new players joining random heists. I don't know why they do this. They're probably like, oh, it's a heist, I'll make a good amount of money from it. No, most of the time when you join a heist, it is a setup, and most of the time, by the time you get to the finale, the leader will just ditch you for a higher level player and you end up never even doing the finale of the heist. So it's incredibly bad. Do not join random heists as a new player. Also, these missions can be pretty tricky as a new player. I know a lot of people struggle with the prison break, especially if you are not in a party with the other people and you're trying to coordinate. I have never seen someone do the prison break myself while I'm in the heist helping them. I can never do it on the first try. Someone always messes up the plane part or someone dies in the helicopter. It's just too hard for new players, and it doesn't even pay that much even if you do complete it. There are better routes to go down than to join random heists with people, because you'll just end up spending 2 hours for maybe 25,000 for finishing one setup, and it's just very time inefficient. So do not do random heists as a new player, please. If you really want, I'm pretty sure GTA Online gives you a high-end apartment at the start now. You can do a Fleeca by yourself, or well, you can't do it by yourself, but you'll have to get one more player. Do that one, but don't do any of the other ones because it will just be too hard with an uncoordinated team that is not communicating with each other. Unless you have friends, which is becoming more and more rare, that helped you get started in GTA Online. You can do the criminal mastermind with them if they have done it before. It'd be much easier, obviously, because it's actually not that hard to do. You really just need to talk to people and find the right methods. But if you can, try to do the criminal mastermind with your friends or with a coordinated team, not with randoms, because you will die of early age. Next thing, new players need to avoid not taking advantage of 2x adversary modes when they come. And these adversary modes can actually be pretty fun. This one I'm playing right now is exclusive to Halloween, I'm pretty sure. As you could tell by like the weird weather and the filter and everything. And this one was actually pretty fun to do, even though my teammate left halfway through. But you know, it is what it is, GTA Online. And you get a good amount of money from doing these. The other team got 70,000 per round because they won. So if you win, which is pretty much RNG to whether you get on a good team or not, you can make a pretty seriously good amount of money from this, and stunt series races as well. I personally prefer racing because I think I'm better at it and I have the top line cars, obviously, and I think that it is just more fun. And even if you finish like top 3 with a lobby with like 20 people, let's say, and it is double money, you will get a good amount of money. You'll probably get like 80,000 if you get top 3. First place probably get over 100,000 easily, and it's good RP as well, which is the main reason why I do it, because money is not really a concern to me at this point. It's mostly just ranking up with RP. You get a good amount of RP every time you win one of these modes, and as a new player, RP early on is crucial. That is really what will propel you through the ranks early on, because without RP you could have a lot of money but you really won't be able to do much. So next time you see one of these modes, do it, because it's actually pretty fun. Next thing new players should avoid doing is not selling in public lobbies that are full of players. Now in the footage here, I'm doing it in invite only, because if I do it in a public lobby, I find that the frames drop for some reason and there's tearing. It gets pretty bad on video. So just for example, I'm in an invite only lobby and I left the game after anyways. But if you're a new player, you should sell in public lobbies because the bonuses you get are very good. I understand if you're scared of other players and your goods getting blown up or not, but if you're ever in a situation where you find that your goods are probably going to get destroyed or they have been destroyed, just close your application and you will retain a lot of the goods, a majority. If you're doing special cargo, you'll only lose 3 crates, which is really solid. Those missions are also pretty good to do as well, even though I wouldn't recommend that business as a new player. But most other businesses, you get a pretty hefty bonus. Even with a special cargo, which once again I recommend you not do, you get like $1 million bonus if you sell in a public lobby with a lot of players. That is a lot of money that you're leaving on the table. So please, if you're a new player and you have a business like gun running or something, try to invite people to your CEO. Just keep spamming it for like 5 minutes, and then if one person joins, even do the mission with them, sell it, and you will get a good amount of money just for selling in a public lobby. And I find that nowadays most of the time people just ignore you. They just mind their own business. But I understand that maybe that's just my lobbies and not everyone, so take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, just try it at least. Once again, you're leaving too much money on the table as a new player when money is most important. Next up, we have the Kosaka. Unfortunately, KO Perico has gotten nerfed so much that the heist is just terrible. You pretty much have to wait like 3 days, or maybe it was 2 days, but you have to wait 2 to 3 days to effectively do the heist and get actually good loot, or else you would keep on getting tequila, which is only worth like 600,000. And it's just terrible. As a new player, you really should avoid the Kosaka because it's pretty expensive to begin with. And as a new player, you probably won't understand how to do the KO Perico heist very well. Although if you really do want to learn, there's tons of YouTube videos on it. I'm sure you could find one if you really wanted to. And the pay is okay, but once again, you have to wait 3 days and it's just not worth it. This was not the story, however, like a year ago. A year ago, the KO Perico heist was nerfed, but it was still viable. I still did it personally because it was easy money. And the only thing that really got nerfed were a couple glitches that were not part of the heist to begin with, like the solo gold glitch and whatnot. So I'm fine with that, but they completely nerfed it at this point to the absolute ground. It is terrible. It's dead. Do not do the KO Perico heist as a new player, as any player, honestly. The heist is just bad now. It's unfortunate, but it was taking up too much shark card sales, and Rockstar doesn't like when you mess with their money. The next thing new players should avoid is the MOC. The MOC is terrible. When it first came out as part of gun running, it was okay because it had some story missions that give you some bonuses for doing it for the first time. So that was okay. And also, this was pretty popular to use for a lot of duplication glitches. I'm not sure if people still use it for duplication glitches or not. Because there is a optional addition that you can add to the MOC that is a personal vehicle storage in the back, and players would use that to duplicate. I actually have that, but of course I'm a good person. I do not use duplication glitches, and that's pretty much the only way people use the MOC to make money. The actual way it was intended to make money is pretty trash. There were these missions that came out, I'm pretty sure they're replayable, but they're just bad. They give you no money. They're pretty much contact missions, which I'll elaborate later on in the video. The only positive I can think about the MOC is the cab. The Phantom is a pretty fast truck. I'm pretty sure it's the fastest truck aside from the Phantom Wedge. I actually think it's a little bit faster than the Phantom Wedge. I'm not sure, but maybe if you know, let me know in the comments and I will heart it. But yeah, that is actually pretty good. If you like to do the haulage VIP work, which I'm not sure why, it only gives like 25,000 and it's pretty hard to do in public lobbies because people try to blow you up all the time. But if you like to do that, this can actually be pretty helpful because it gives you a pretty slow truck to start out with, and you can replace it with whatever cab you like. You can use the Phantom Wedge, the Phantom, this one. So overall, please avoid the MOC. If you really want, buy the bunker because the bunker is still good, but do not buy the MOC, please. You saw it in the thumbnail. The next one we have is expensive guns. New players should absolutely avoid buying these. They look cool, they do a decent amount of damage, but they're way too expensive. This one I'm holding is like 450,000, I think, and the minigun is like $500,000. It's straight ridiculous. And they're overall, I mean, they're okay for what they are, but the price is way too expensive in my opinion. The only good thing about them is that there is no level cap, I believe. So you can be like a level 1 and buy this, even though I'm not sure how you're level 1 with that much money. And you can have this and be like decently equipped for most missions, but it's way too expensive. You can just buy like the regular AK and hit your headshots and you'll be fine. These are way too expensive. Now, I will say the up and atomizer is actually useful. If you're doing a cell mission and the car gets stuck, you can actually use it to unflip the car, even though most of the time it should respawn it, but sometimes it doesn't. So if you really want, the up and atomizer is still pretty good. It's fun to mess around with too with your friends. So buy that one if you want, but don't buy the Widowmaker and the one I'm holding. I forgot the name of it, but yeah, don't buy them. Way too expensive. Even most new guns like the service carbine and the military rifle, way too expensive. Even though they're pretty good guns, as a new player you should avoid them. Just buy the legacy guns like the bullpup rifle and the special carbine and you'll be fine. Now, this next one may also seem obvious, but it is the casino. Sometimes I will see people gambling in the casino, and then I take a second look, and it is always a new player trying to hit gold or something and just get like a triple diamond. It's not going to happen. The casino is literally rigged to take your money. This is the same case for real life as well. New players should learn from this. Do not go to the casino whatsoever. Only go to the casino so you can maybe get the car or some cash or a discount or something. Do not go to gamble, because the only effective way of gambling with not much RNG involved, which was horse racing. Horse racing used to be actually pretty good, but it got nerfed a lot because Rockstar made it to where if you leave the computer and go back, it's the same exact horse race with the same odds. Before, it wasn't always like that. On release day, it was actually good to make money, but they fixed it right away, which is really stupid because you didn't even make too much from it. But Rockstar being Rockstar, they don't want you to make too much money from the casino, even though it's designed to make money. But yeah, new players, don't go to the casino, please. Only go to spin the wheel, and that's it. Do not participate in any of the machines. Maybe some of the tables if you really want, but don't like go all in or whatever, because it's just a bad idea. Okay, I touched on this briefly in the video earlier. It is contact missions. Do not do these as a new player. I always see new players inviting me to do semionics or, like the repo work or whatever. It's so bad because you make no money whatsoever. Some of these will give you a small, like, first-time bonus for completing as a leader. But if they don't have that bonus, don't do these. Like Rooftop Rumble, I'm just using this as an example. No one does Rooftop Rumble anymore, but any of the Simeon missions, the Martin missions, do not do these. These are pretty bad. Even the Lamar missions that were a part of Benny's, do not do that because you are forced to play with other people. And most of the time, random missions, doing missions with randoms never ends well because someone always dies and then someone leaves on the first try. Then you end up going nowhere for spending like an hour of time. So do not do these as a new player. There are better ways to make money in GTA Online than doing contact missions. They are very outdated and in my personal opinion need a desperate rework. And that is it, everyone. Some things that new players should absolutely avoid in GTA Online. I hope if you're a new player, you found this video useful. And I mainly did this video because I see a lot of new players in GTA Online. People may be like, oh, GTA Online's too old of a game. People don't play it anymore, but they still do. New players play it every single day, and I see a lot of them. So that's why I did this video. Hopefully you found it useful, and have a good day. Goodbye.